So we have officially owned the Dark Horse for over a year now, and we're gonna go over all of my favorite things about this amazing Mustang in today's video. So if you guys are hyped for that, drop a sub if you are new, and put in the comments if I miss anything, or if you guys might disagree with anything. We're gonna kind of start things at the back of the car because this is my #1 favorite thing about this car, and that will be the exhaust. The exhaust that comes on the Dark Horse is not your average everyday Mustang exhaust. This exhaust is super loud, especially for stock. It cracks on upshifts. You can get it to kind of crack on downshifts, or if you kind of blip the throttle at a certain RPM. It is absolutely perfect for a stock exhaust. You cannot ask for more. There's also been countless times that I've been just driving this car, and two of them were actually Corvette owners. They asked what exhaust setup I had on this thing. When I told them that it was stock, they literally did not believe me. I promise you guys, if you guys end up picking up a Dark Horse, you will not need to get exhaust super soon. Like I said, I've had this car a year, and we're still on the stock headers and stock exhaust just because it is quite loud by itself. So moving up on the car a little bit, it's gonna be these things right here. These P0 tires. I do not have the handling pack, so I cannot imagine how different the handling pack would make this, but these things hook. So like I said, I don't have the handling pack. These are just the 275s, but I promise you these things will not let you down in any cornering, unless they're cold. If they're cold, they might get away from you. But a ton of spirited driving on not so great roads even here in Ohio, and these things have not let me down. I hope I'm not jinxing that, but I try to keep things pretty respectable on roads at least. You know, it's not a road course or anything, but these things hook no matter what you're really doing. You can push this car pretty much to the limit as long as you keep traction control on. I would say if you turn all that off and turn off StabiliTrak, then the P0s might let you down. And one thing that I'm actually remembering right now, kind of off the top of my head, is just how crazy these Brembos are. Not only do you get a massive one on the front, I don't know how long this actually is, but I'm pretty sure that this is one of the biggest actual brake calipers that you can get on a Mustang ever, if not the biggest. But you also get one in the back that is honestly bigger than most front brakes on other cars. Now, I don't remember where exactly I heard this stat from. If you guys know where it was, then put it down in the comments, but the Dark Horse with these brakes can actually stop faster than a GT3 RS. So now moving up to the front of the car, as you guys can tell, this thing has an insane road presence. It looks mean, it always looks angry, and it does not look like a stock car. Starting right here, these little kind of things that go underneath the headlights that are attached to the grille, that makes the front end look extremely more aggressive than just the regular GT. Another small thing that does change the look of it a little bit is this is actually a functional vent here. It actually goes in versus on this side, which honestly I might cut out. You can kind of see that there's just a gray kind of piece right behind it. Having this a little bit deeper on this side just looks a little bit better than over here. Not to mention the actual real intakes that you get right here and right here for the twin intakes on this dual throttle body V8. Now, this is one thing that I wish came on all of the Dark Horses and not just the handling pack. This splitter right here is nice, but they have a much more aggressive one for the handling pack. But personally, I didn't opt for the handling pack, so I don't have that front splitter. You also do get this hood vent or heat extractor, whatever you want to call it. It is truly functional, which I'll show you guys right now. As you can see, these are real vents. I'll have the hood open later so you'll see it a little bit more. But on top of that, we also do have the actual Dark Horse kind of decals or vinyl, whatever you want to call it here, which does add quite a bit of kind of mean look to the hood. If this was all one color and all shiny, it wouldn't really blend in with this front here. I think that the black on here ties really well in with all the kind of blacked out front pieces. Now, you do also get a nice side skirt here, but this is my favorite part, and I've actually changed my opinion on this since owning this car for a year. This spoiler right here, I mean, just from this angle, is absolutely insane. I originally thought that I would want the handling pack one because you get some really cool like canards or something, they call them some weird name, that you can attach here. It's a completely different wing, but really, I've seen that one in person now, and this one actually, in my opinion, looks better. It is a two-piece wing, so you got this top part that's kind of like matte color, and then this, which is a shiny, almost piano black, but it looks good on here. And a little thing that I'll throw in, I guess, on the road presence thing is the Dark Horse badge. looks great. Now this car being track focused is going to need some good suspension, and luckily it has amazing suspension. There are a few different settings that you can turn it on, and honestly I don't notice a difference between sport and regular, but if you put this thing in track mode and you go over some bumps, your head is going to hurt afterwards. So that's why I recommend keeping it either in regular or sport. I wish that you could put it in regular mode if you were in track mode or sport driving mode, but you can't for some reason. That's like the one complaint I have about this car is the My Mustang modes. You can't really change anything other than exhaust sound. Now the Dark Horse does come standard with MagneRide. A lot of people think that it doesn't, but it does, either if you get the handling pack or the regular one. But if you get the handling pack, you're going to get a little bit more of a more aggressive MagneRide that's more tuned for actual track driving. Now I cannot say how that is on the road. I would assume that it is not quite as good as the non-handling pack. If somebody has a handling pack and has driven the non-handling pack, put in the comments if it is a little bit of a better ride. I don't know if it would be better or worse for the road. I would assume worse though. And I do believe that the handling pack also adds a little bit of camber to the front, and you'll get a little bit of pulling on the highway or over bumps and stuff. Now if you open up the hood here, you can see that there is a strut brace across the top that does say Dark Horse on it. Really cool feature, and it really stiffens up the front so that if you do take it to the track, you'll feel like you're actually driving a track car. Now these are the twin intakes I was mentioning earlier that are actually functional, but well, we have this hood open. As you can see, these are the vents that I was talking about earlier. And another main point of what I love about this car is right here, the Gen 4 Coyote. This car's sitting at 500 horsepower stock, and that is plenty of power for 99% of people, I would say. So on the Dark Horse, this Gen 4 Coyote does actually have some different internals versus the normal GT. If I'm remembering right off the top of my head, correct me if I'm wrong, this has the GT 500 forged internals, and I believe a little bit of a different cam setup than the regular GT. And like I said, this car is completely stock as of right now, and 500 horsepower out of a V8 that revs to 7,500 from the factory. I really cannot complain. It has plenty of power, plenty of roar, I guess you could say, since it is a V8, and plenty of torque. Feels amazing out of the Dark Horse. But let's go ahead and close this hood and head onto the interior. Overall, this interior is a very futuristic look for Mustang, especially compared to all of the previous models where they had a double hump here on the dash. If you guys have ever been in a Mustang, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, but this one just looks a little bit more, I don't know, it's like the Mustang matured and kind of leaped forward instead of always following the same thing. Which brings me to these screens. As you saw the Dark Horse there, and it says Dark Horse here when it starts up. And these gauges, I can actually change whenever I want to, which I'll show you guys now. Another kind of negative that I'll throw in here is just how long this thing does take to start. When they were talking about the unveiling of this, they said it was super fast. It is pretty quick if you have the car on. If you don't have it on, expect to be sitting here a couple minutes. But if we go into cluster theme here, you can actually see we have a ton of different ones. We have normal, sport, track, calm, which I'll just skip over. I'll show you guys, but nobody cares about this. We've got this classic, this Fox body, which came stock with the car, and this new SVT Cobra that just got added, and that is my personal favorite. Another thing that I like about kind of the interior is how you can change the different modes of exhaust. If you really are, if you have a headache or something, driving a V8 with the valves open can be pretty loud. You can turn this thing in quiet mode and it will be dead silent. But just the overall quality of this interior, I wish you guys could feel it, but these are all pretty soft touch plastics, high quality leather. The stitching is absolutely beautiful everywhere. There's some Alcantara here and on the door panels, not too much around the car to make it a burden to kind of take care of, but just enough to add a little bit more flair to the inside. There is also ambient lighting that you can change, and of course I option for the Recaros. If anybody is telling you not to option for the Recaros, do not listen to them. These things are insanely comfortable. Definitely get these over the stock seats. Now, another main reason that I really have enjoyed this car over the last year is these two things right here, mainly the transmission. If you guys didn't know, the Dark Horse comes with a completely different transmission than the regular GT. This one comes with a Tremec 6-speed. Compared to the MT82, where you're gonna get locked out of gears all the time, this Tremec actually feels very good. It's refreshing from a muscle car. The throws are not long at all. Like, I could do this literally with a finger and switch gears. The clutch pedal also feels great, does not have a ton of travel, so it's very easy to press in and out. And overall, I really like the notchy feel of the Tremec versus the MT82. It just feels like you know exactly what gear you're in. You can feel it go fully into gear, and I have not been locked out of any gears. It also has auto rev matching, so you're never going to be in traffic or driving around the city with kind of the burden of a manual transmission on your mind. This thing does a very, very good job of handling daily driving. Now we're going to go over the last thing that I really enjoy about this car, and unfortunately I haven't gotten to do yet, but the reason that it is very important is because this thing is 100% ready for the track. It's got all the coolers that you would ever need. It's got an oil cooler, it's got a transmission cooler, and it's got a diff cooler. It's going to keep your temperatures all really, really low on the track, or if you're driving around town and really beating on the car, it can handle it. Compared to just a normal Mustang or even just any other normal muscle car, compared to those, you don't really have that luxury of, one, knowing what your temperatures are, but two, knowing that they are actually being cooled down as you drive the car. So unfortunately, I have yet to get this out to a track or a road course, but if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, I am going to be doing that very, very soon, hopefully before winter and before the tracks close up. But if you guys want to see that, that's pretty much everything that I have to say about the Dark Horse. Love this car. It's been a year. It's been a great year at that. So if you guys want to see more, drop a sub, drop a comment if I missed anything, or if you disagree with me, or if you really agree with me and want to kind of capitalize on that, put over in the comments. If you are new, drop a sub, and I will see you guys in the next one.